Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube, or welcome back to my YouTube. Everything is brand new. My name is Riviera. Pardon me for looking ratchet. I'm in my natural element right now, and I have been trying for like a week to to record another video. Anyway, I'm finally back. Welcome to my channel. Really, it's just a self-healing journey, but I'll take you through my transition from here out. I was trying to actually give you guys like a brief overview of what brought me to this place, but you're gonna be hearing me work on trying to mount my TV. I stripped a screw head in the back of my TV, and now I'm trying to take a flathead and create an opening in the screw so I can take it out and lay it flush on the wall. Y'all, I gotta show you what I'm talking about. If I could get my camera to turn around. Anyway, let me show y'all like this. So this is the back of my TV. Got the mounts on it, and it's gonna go over there where the little bracket is on the wall. And this is the area that's stripped. And I watched a freaking YouTube video, and it says just take the head, this part of the flathead, and rub it until like it creates a new indentation in the screw head. Y'all, I've been working at this for 2 days, and I'm fucking tired. But while I work on that and you hear the scraping in the background, I guess I will talk about why I decided to get back on YouTube and actually be serious this time with pursuing this channel. So I tried to start this channel a couple of times because I was in a stage of grief, and I needed a safe place to vent my thoughts, my feelings, express what was going on in my life, maybe create a community where many of you may be going through similar things in your life. I believe on my last episode, I mentioned that my family is post-divorce. This is from the announcement of the divorce, this is year 5. But from the settlement of the divorce, this is year 4. This is year 4. So we're 4 years post-divorce officially. And I had a whole mental breakdown last year. I had a whole mental breakdown. I was a complete mess. I was totally overwhelmed. There were several circumstances that caused me to be under undue stress, and I literally tapped out. So 5 years ago in 2018, oh my god, 2018 was 6 years ago. Okay, in 2018, let's just do that. In 2018, my parents announced on Christmas Day that they would be getting a divorce and officially separating after 25 years of marriage. Of course, I was in shock. First stage of grief, I was definitely in denial, but I was trying to cope with it as best I could. Couple months went by. Ended up talking with my mom, talking with my dad, getting both of their sides of the story as to why they decided to call it quits. Needless to say, I won't blurt out all of the details of their relationship. My mom has a podcast where she shared her insight, her experience, and her half on a channel called All Things Undone, which may or may not be taking a title change. But if you guys want to hear her side, you can definitely go to that. Now, my dad is not expressive. He had his say when I spoke to him privately about what he felt went wrong and came to his decision in separating. So let's fast forward. We go from 2018 to 2019, and in 2019 I began coping. I was in a relationship at the time for about a couple of years, and I decided, well, in my relationship, we're going to do things different. I'm going to focus on being happy and whole and, moving forward as best I can in my own relationship, not taking the change of events personally in my own personal life out on my relationship. And if y'all hear anything in the background, it's my cats. I have 2 of them, just a side note. But I decided, okay, well, let me turn my focus inward and do something that makes me happy, that brings me joy, that gives me a sense of purpose. It takes my mind off of having to adjust to a new family dynamic. So I decided to go to massage therapy school. And so throughout 2019, I was in massage school. I was also working 3 jobs, managing the grief of the divorce, and dealing with my relationship. That is not even the start. Like, that's only the start. That's not even like the whole of it. So I put myself in school. That was a little bit of a struggle to get into, which I will talk about on another video. But I decided to go to school. So that was about February of 2019. I start my journey there. The 3 jobs that I had at that time, back in 2019, was I worked as a CSR at bridal store. I was at David's Bridal for 6 years. During that time, I worked as a CSR. I also worked as a dietary aide at a retirement home. And I also worked as a substitute teacher for the school system in the city I was living. So, and that's on top of everything else that I just mentioned. So I was hustling, to say the least. I had to afford my payments, my tuition, to put myself through school, because my parents were spending their money and resources on separating their assets in the divorce settlement. So I did not want to impose on them during that process, so I took that burden on myself. And about 3 months from the time I started school, I considered myself in a financial bind. The economy was a little rough. Prices of, cost of living and the prices of things had gone up. So my pay did not change. My pay did not change, and then like I had to pare down and like really get serious about budgeting. So I had some friends approach me with a idea to enter into business together. Excuse me. Something I do not suggest doing after having experienced it personally. I always wondered why people say never mix business with friends or family, and I learned the hard way, but I will get into that as well, probably on another video. I took them up on their proposal, which at the time was to invest in a trucking company to deliver commercial freight across borders, like, and I mean like across the states, from one state to the other, within the city, locally, abroad, whatever. So we decided to embark on that journey, and I was like, okay, this should bring in extra revenue. I'll get paid on the back end. I won't have to work as much, and I can try to process my grief a little bit better without as many distractions. So, needless to say, we started that process, and around the time I went into business with my friends, my boyfriend got very, very ill at the time. And I thought that he was a really good catch. At the time, he was battling with clinical depression. And I will talk about mental health, especially within the male community, which has not been discussed as openly until recent years. But I will talk about my experience with dealing with someone who has mental illness. And so he was going through what do they call it? Mania. So he was clinically depressed, and he was experiencing several episodes of mania, and I'll talk about that too. While I was embarking on a business venture, managing 3 jobs, dealing with the grief of divorce as an adult, and managing school. It was a very hard time. It was a very hard time. It was very intense. It was high stress. And I was in that cycle for about, I would say, a year before a lot of things started changing. So from 2019, about May of 2019 to January or February of 2020, I was going through that transition in my life. This is right before the shutdowns with COVID during the pandemic. Y'all, needless to say, my year was very wild. Once we got into 2020, a number of events had happened to me at the time. I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend at the top of 2020. I had finished school and gotten certified and licensed as a massage therapist. My parents had officially divorced in that year, going into that year. And I actually was in a very low financial place due to the partnership kind of fizzling out over time. I'm going to talk about these things separately in different videos, but I'm just giving you a brief overview of excuse me, from then excuse me, from then to now, as to why I decided to start talking more openly about it. I had, if it'll come undone, I had I started to reflect on a lot of my decisions. 2020 was the shutdowns. After I had broken up with my boyfriend, I was turning 27. Okay, I was turning 27 in 2020. And I decided to start living my best life. I was in a committed relationship for 3 years at that time, and we called it quits due to his mental instability and for lack of maintaining like his health, basically. And then after that, I moved. No, let me back up. After that, like I said, I was living my best life. So I told my mama and my auntie, I'm like, you know what? Fuck all that shit. They lovey-dovey, whatever, trying to be all committed to one person and sticking it out during the worst. Let me have some fun. I'm young. I don't have kids. I'm not married. I don't have any pets. There's nothing tying me to one place to where I cannot explore my options and learn what do I like, what don't I like, what works for me, what doesn't, what type of personality fits mine, all of these variables. So after that, I threw myself a week of celebration for my birthday. Y'all can't see him. My cat just came by me. I had like a wonderful time doing that. I invited a friend that I knew for several years to come and stay with me right at the top of COVID. So when the announcement of COVID for the state of Louisiana was made to shut down the city, to shut down the state from operating and going places until we figured out what the extent of the pandemic would cause, I had invited a friend to come and stay with me, and we just try to figure out how to make things work between us. And then that lasted about 6 weeks. I ended up going on a vacation. Well, actually, let me back up. I moved from one apartment to the next, to a new apartment. Me and that friend stopped talking after his stay. Then I went on vacation that year twice. I started back working as a massage therapist officially when the world reopened. And they decided to make the place like 25% capacity. So according to what was going on at the time, we had to social distance at least 6 feet apart. And if you worked in a business or a corporation that had 100 employees or more, you were required to be vaccinated at the time. I did not opt to participate in any vaccines. I hope that's not offensive to anybody watching. For my own personal reasons and beliefs, I chose not to get vaccinated at the time, and it was not mandatory for my job. I went back to work at 25% occupancy on the job after getting qualified by the state to practice massage with a license. And then I started a business at the end of 2020. So that we're from 2018 to 2020. We're 3 years in to my transition right now. As the year went along, I had also had lots of financial loss in the business that I started with my friends. My truck, well, I didn't even get into the details of the business, so I will save that for another video. So I'm just going to shorten it and say I had some issues with the business and my partners that led to some financial instability. And then we go from 2020 into the top of 2021. Around this time, I had still been working all 3 jobs. When I took the offer to work as a massage therapist at the first spa I applied to, it wasn't the first spa I applied to, but at the spa I had applied to that hired me on right after school, I decided to drop 2 of my jobs, 2 of the 3 of my jobs. So I accepted a job as a massage therapist. I quit working at the bridal store, and I quit working at the retirement home. No, I didn't. I quit working as a substitute teacher for the school system, and I quit working at the retirement home, but I kept my job at the bridal store because while under the pandemic for COVID, we were granted what is it called? At the time, it was called a something with an F. I can't remember what the freak they called it. Basically, we were temporarily fired, but our jobs were kept for when the world reopened, that we could come back. But while we were out of work for that time, we were able to file unemployment benefits so that we can maintain our lives and our bills until we were permitted to go back to work, according to the CDC and the FDA. So, that was going on. What's up, little fella? I'm gonna show y'all my cat real quick because he's meowing and shit. This is Apollo. Apollo, say hello. Hey, handsome. Okay. he wants some attention, but he's not gonna get it. He's just gonna have to sit here for a minute. Anyway, I decided to leave my third job at the top of 2021 to go full-time as a massage therapist. In 2021, oh my goodness, what happened then? It was my first year working full-time as a therapist. I had adjusted to the family being separated for the first year of the divorce settlement. I had been single for about a year at that time. I had traveled. I went to Atlanta at the top of 2021. I was still going through issues with my business partners regarding the finances, and trying to get the logistics of that settled. I had also, oh my goodness, I really have to jog my memory of what happened in 2021. The restrictions, that's what it was. In 2020, it was an election year. So going into 2021, we also had a new presidency. And the first decision that our previous president had to make was whether or not to accept a loan for the economy to cycle its revenue so that 19 million Americans would not be homeless due to the pandemic, because we would no longer be allowed to file unemployment and we would be required to return to work. So that was a rough time. I was working full time, and I had just quit working at the bridal store, which is the job that I was collecting the majority of my unemployment from until the pandemic lightened up. And I actually was able to file for the first 3 months of 2021, which helped me float my bills, at least until taxes were released. And then, or until we had to file taxes and a refund was returned to me. So then, after that, I honestly don't recall much of 2021, you guys. I'm so sorry. If I do, I will probably route that in another video. But we had been... My mom decided to continue having family gatherings and events together, even though she and my dad had separated. They wanted our transition, and I'm saying our. I'm one of three girls. I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger sisters. So they wanted our transition with the divorce to be as smooth as possible, without it causing us like a lot of mental and emotional baggage, which it was a really hard time for us to transition. My mom took time to heal, and my dad, I think, immediately started dating. So needless to say, we get through that year. And we enter into 2022. So into 2022, what happened? I think I brought the year in by myself, drinking wine and watching the fireworks show around my apartment. I had still been practicing as a therapist, and what did I do in 2022, you guys? And then this was the year that I chose to kind of stop dealing with my business partners because of a lot of things that were going wrong in our agreement. And then I think I started dating again. So that was my experimental year. And I decided to embark on a very spiritual journey. I had, I think, reunited with the friend who I invited to stay with me back in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. After he left, he returned. We ended up having a falling out and we're no longer friends. Then at the time I'd had a new roommate, and she was actually a godsend during that time. I also was transitioning, had my sister had graduated high school. That's what happened in 2021. My baby sister graduated high school, and for college she moved in with me to go to school in the city I was living. And my previous roommate moved out, my sister moved in. A lot of things were shifting at that time. I maintained work, bills, everything was smooth sailing. My dad had introduced his new partner to the family over Thanksgiving that year, and that was really hard for us because we were still processing the grief of the separation. Me and my sisters all responded differently to it. Yeah, my hip hurt. Each of me and my sisters responded very differently to it. The following summer, the summer of 2022, my sister and my dad got into an altercation. They fell out, and then I was in such disarray financially that I started a lawsuit against my former business partners to take them to court to retrieve lost finances. And I filed bankruptcy. I filed bankruptcy, and then awaited trial. After all of that, I had Apollo. What you doing? After I had filed bankruptcy and was awaiting trial for court, the fruit happened in 2023. my dad had gotten remarried. So 6 months from the time he and my sister got into it, he remarried the person he had introduced to us 6 months prior. In 2022, he married her at the top of 2023. And last year was the most difficult year of my life because I was extremely depressed. I did not like the turn of events that had happened in my life. I was not prepared for my dad to have inserted a new marriage without resolving the conflict and turmoil in our family. I did not know his partner very well. We never got to bond with them. And I, needless to say, took it extremely hard. I grieved the version of my dad that I formerly knew as if he had died. And I was so stressed with work that I had developed ovarian cyst. This is in 2023 now. So we've gone from 2018, the announcement of the divorce, to 2019, me going to school, getting into business, working 3 jobs, dealing with a manic partner, to graduating school, getting a job, then dealing with the breaking up with my boyfriend in 2020. In 2020. Starting a new job, breaking up with my boyfriend, living with an ex-best friend, dealing with the transition of the pandemic, grieving the official divorce settlement in 2020 to 2021, going into my first full year of working as a massage therapist, having my roommate move out, my sister move in, me filing bankruptcy, what else happened? So to 2021, that's what ended up happening, to going into 2022, filing a lawsuit to take my former business partners to court, falling out with my ex-best friend who lived with me after reuniting, developing, let's see, what else happened in 2022? It wasn't too much. Going into 2023, oh yeah, that's what ended up happening. Let me back up. So also in 2022, my dad and sister having a fight, falling out, and then 6 months later, at the top of 2023, my dad remarrying, my business partners and I go to court. I developed ovarian cysts from the stress of working and managing everything, with the loss of the friends, the business, the money, the family. I also had lost, I quit my job. I had lost all of my income. I had sunken into a very deep depression after my dad remarried. And then I literally remember being in a very dark mental space. I felt very isolated. I was not suicidal, but I also was not very present. Um, at the time, I had disassociated from real life, and I was in excruciating emotional pain. And then I had gotten a call about May of 2023 to go to work out of state. So I ended up working out of state for about 2 months, from May to July. I returned home, and this was the first 3-digit heat wave of a summer with no rain. We had a complete drought last year. The pandemic had completely subsided. We were back working full time. The economy last year had taken a dive. Inflation was at an all-time high. The rates of the cost of living had doubled again. And I had gotten, I forgot about that. By 2023, I had 2 emotional support pits for about a couple of years. So I ended up getting my babies. Ended up getting my 2 cats from a friend back in 2021 that carried me through my transition over the last couple of years. And then after I came from working in out of state to basically like a heat wave, I had suffered severe dehydration, malnutrition, sleeplessness, restlessness. I had been suffering from heat exhaustion, mental, physical, and emotional fatigue. And I had begun spiraling. I was not able to sleep for longer than an hour at a time. I had a couple of mental episodes where I exhibited signs of mania. It was rapid. It was extremely scary. I frightened my sister, who was living with me at the time. She called the police because I went missing. And then I showed up to the house. I had not been able to complete my sentences. I was doing a lot of odd things that were not normal for me. I was really, what's the word that I'm looking for? I was actually very kind of aloof. Like, I just wasn't able to make sense of life. And I literally had a mental breakdown, and my sister rushed me to the hospital. I was admitted to, I was admitted to the hospital for about a week for testing and regulation. I did start a new job when I got home from out of state during my episodes, and my job chose to hold my position for me once I was admitted into the hospital. My family, thank God for them, my family actually called my job and let them know what my status was. So when I got out, I had a job to return to and not literally not be homeless. So I was heavily dependent on my sister, who at the time was going through school. She had not been working, but we were living off of her student refunds from each semester she had entered college. And then after I got out of the hospital, I was put on medication for sleep and for mood stability. It made me gain about 30 pounds. That year I turned 30. This is all in 2023, last year. I gained 30 pounds when I got out of the hospital off of the medication, because all I was doing was sleeping and eating. And I had suffered extreme exhaustion. I had also been just self-regulating, honestly. I am actively working on getting the weight off, but it's going to take some time, and I will be recording that journey as well. But 2023 was very rough for me, needless to say. I decided to take it easy on myself. Look, my baby's giving me some comfort. He's right there. He decided to get curled up on me. And then so after the weight gain and coming out of the hospital, I started back working. I also started counseling. So I was seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist to deal with the trauma of the previous years that brought me to like mentally unwinding and breaking down psychologically to the point of hospitalization. That really has helped me process my emotions, helped me to express my pain, giving me a safe space to vent, and to also be advised on ways to manage my health much better. I did open myself up to dating just so that I could socialize and be around people again. I started the process to file for unemployment. I had to file for food assistance. I had to file for disability. I had to file for housing assistance. I was in a very extremely low place in my life. I had gained 30 pounds from depression. and trying to get regulated off medication because my my biological chemistry was misaligned. It was off. So I had to basically get rewired mentally. And I also made peace with the divorce. I ended up settling out of court. However, I never received payment. So I've decided to let it go. Earlier in the year of 2023, I think right after I had my first mental episode, I actually, where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, after I had my first mental episode, I had actually, brain fart. I can't stand when that shit happens. It'll come back to me. Anyways, I actually had decided to make peace with the break in my familial foundation, which caused me to restructure my entire belief system from childhood to adulthood. And I did not realize how severely damaging it was for me to see life from a restricted lens based on my upbringing, and versus having everything stripped, so my eyes were really open. And I mean, not like my visual eyes, the eyes that I use to physically see with, but mentally, like my third eye, my chakras, balancing myself, spiritually being awakened. All of these scenarios and circumstances caused me to have a deep internal revelation of what life means to me now in relationships. Sorry that this video is really long. Trying to not kind of go through everything detail for detail, but just kind of a brief overview. So all of those things that I just talked about happened in 2023. Entering into 2024, I am now stable. I have been practicing massage for 4 years. I have been working a few months at my new job. I actually decided to pack up and move from my previous city, which I had mentioned I was living in Lafayette, to move in with my mom and sister in Mandeville, which I just moved 2 weeks ago. So from today, as of 2 weeks ago, I'm in a new place. I have accepted a job position at a new spa. At a new spa. It's still a franchise. I worked there before, just not at this location. And I am rebuilding. I am not dating. I am currently on a weight loss journey. I am also transitioning to rebuild my my finances. And speaking of finances, I now thought about what I was trying to say happened to me back in February of last year, right around the time I had my first mental episode. That's what I was saying. I had been forced to discontinue my bankruptcy note because I could no longer afford the payments. So I dropped the lawsuit. I dropped my finances. I dropped my bankruptcy. And decided to save money by moving home, getting a job, and stacking my coins. So this is where I currently am. My goodness, it took about an hour to get through. I'm still working on this television to mount it to the wall. So I will probably give you guys an overview of kind of where I am now. I moved and literally downsized from a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment with washer dryer hookups to to just one room in a townhome with 3 beds and 2 bathrooms. Where I live now, the space is bigger, but my world is smaller because I've had to condense it to share the space with family. And then honestly, it has been the most refreshing transition in my life. I'm ready to get back to a healthier version of myself and rediscover who Riviera is, what my needs are now, the goals that I have for myself moving forward, recreating a vision for my life, embarking on a personal relationship with God, rediscovering what that looks like, what that feels like, what my purpose is, whether or not, God will send me a purpose partner or I'll just remain single. I'm in suspense. And I'm totally okay with letting go of control and accepting the unknown, which many people are really scared to do. I'm hoping that by sharing my experiences with you guys, it helps you to keep moving forward. That you don't quit on yourself. Changes have to be made. Things happen in life that are unpredictable, and you just have to roll with the punches. Never quit on yourself. Do the work. Be patient. Show yourself some grace. Be compassionate. Understand that you are human and you are capable of overcoming. And that's exactly where I'm at. Sorry, my dress keep coming down. I like this shit. But, yeah. That's about it. I think that's all that I have to share for today. I'm going to get back to this TV and cleaning up and getting things squared before I start work next week. All right. Until next time, it has been lovely. Peace, love, blessings. It's been real, raw, and transparent with your girl, Riv. Love you guys. See you next week.